Hello, beautiful people. I'm Deja Riley,
And I'm Alicia Ferguson.
and you are now tuned into Dose of Duality, the podcast where we create a space for navigating the messiness of life,
Mm.
embracing our community and culture around the state of coexistence.
We got a new intro, y'all. Did y'all peep that?
I know. Did everybody see and hear what we just put down? Okay.
The
Alicia.
messiness of life, which I feel like is encapsulating the season that I think a lot of us have been in.
Yeah, Alicia, you added that little spice on the intro, that messiness. And I honestly, at first, I was a little resistant to the word messiness. I was like, oh, do we want to put that in the intro that it's messy? Because
Mm-hmm.
we're not
Mm-hmm.
really messy people, but we're going to get messy today because
But my
that
life be looking
dose
messy sometimes.
and that and that. Anyways, I wanted to check in with you. Like, we haven't seen each other in a minute.
Yeah.
And how's life? Like, how's life in Georgia?
Ugh, but bleh. Okay. That sound, right? No, so I feel like I've been in a space where I'm constantly just constantly like adjusting my stance. I think that's where it's been, which is
Mm.
good. There was this quote where I will have to link who said it. But you don't find balance, you create balance. And so I've been looking at my life and all the things that I've been juggling like that, and just like adjusting the
Yeah.
scales, kind of like shifting if you're on, like a skateboard or something. One of
Yeah.
the major things is I broke up with my therapist, y'all. I broke up with
Oh
my
my God. Wait, wait, wait.
therapist.
You had me on the edge of my seat because when you said broke up, I was like,
Oh,
what
no,
what you're
no.
not about to tell me is
This
don't
was
you
like not
spring that
my
on
friend.
me. Right, right. But okay, let's talk about this because I
Yeah.
have been through therapist breakups before. They're not easy. I know that I'm a creature of habit and I get super attached
Yep.
to whoever I'm working with um or in relationship with. So how are you feeling about that? Because that's a tough transition.
Yeah. And I think in those adjustments, I had a moment where I was like, okay, you got to get really real with yourself. And so, not again being that creature of habit, or sometimes I just like people and I'm like, oh, but I really like this person. So let me see how I can like make it fit and make it work, even when it's not serving me and that season or that time is gone. And it's not good for either person. Like, it's not good for them either.
Yeah.
And so, because even in the therapist breakup, there was someone else that like I work with that I had to like end that relationship. The way we were kind of like working together, I had to end it. And this came from me sitting and being like, okay, girl, like what's really happening? Like, you're having friction points,
Yeah.
acknowledge it, address it. Like,
Yeah.
you got to get real with yourself. And so with the
Yeah.
therapist breakup, I felt like she wasn't challenging me. And
Ooh.
so we would have good conversation, like homegirl. And I had to really think about, okay, I was a little biased when I picked her. I was like, I wanted a Black woman, and which like makes sense, right? Like, I want someone who I can like relate to. And then I start thinking, and as I'm looking for a new therapist, like, was I too reliant on those things that I felt like are comfortable, like someone who like literally reflects me, because it might be
Mm.
like values or morals that, or even like someone's like faith background. And so it's outside of what they look like. So I
Yeah.
opened my box up. There's this Asian woman who I'm going to be seeing tomorrow. We're going to see how that goes.
Okay.
I'll let y'all know. And I'm excited to see like what that looks like once I like open the box up. But
Yeah.
yeah, she wasn't challenging. And so I was thinking, like, what questions do you ask a therapist when you're like interviewing them? Or do you ask questions to like interview them?
You know, my therapist has actually been challenging me to step into a space with no agenda. And
Mm-hmm.
so, what I like to do is have organic conversation upon first meet with somebody that I'm going to work with or somebody that I'm going to be in relationship with.
Yeah.
And so, it's like step into the space with what you have and who you
Yeah.
are in that moment and see how you feel. I think the best
Yeah.
indicator of moving forward is your gut feeling, your initial gut feeling.
Yeah.
And so if you step into that space, no matter what you're going through in that day, and that person makes you feel supported, that person makes you feel seen,
Yeah.
that person, hears you and really you can relate to them, then I feel
Mhm.
like it's worth at least stepping into another session with them.
For sure. And she was a newer therapist. So this isn't like my long term therapist that I was like working with for, like my older one that I was working with for like years. But I had 5 sessions with her. So I gave it
Okay.
a good shot. I was like, let's see, maybe as she learns more about me, it'll get tailored a little bit. And then I had a conversation with a friend because, like, in maybe the third session, I called her and I was like, I just feel weird about my therapy session. I don't know why. I just feel like it wasn't fruitful. Like, I should be processing this with her, but let me process this with you.
Yeah.
And she was the one who gave me the advice of, she's like, maybe put together some questions about her approach or like what you need. And I was
Mm.
like, oh, that's good. I never thought about like an interview or at least putting like requirements on it because I'm very much like open and free flowing. And so it's like, let's see what they naturally provide or like how this goes.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was me processing out loud. And in doing that, though, which was helpful, was I would kind of ask my own self these discovery questions. But then sometimes I'm like, okay, give me like, is there a tool? Is there a practical
Yeah.
takeaway? Is
Yeah.
there a little homework assignment of just an I don't know how to explain that because it's not like I want to do something, but something to be mindful of throughout the week. Like something to like ground on or focus on, or even
Yeah.
a principle. Like, and that wasn't. It just felt like okay, and I was like, all right, this was nice. That's how I would
I
feel, but
mean,
I liked her. I liked her.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, and there's something about that. It's like, she was likable, but she didn't make you feel a sense of improvement or elevation.
Yeah.
And I think that, in this season of my life where I'm really being stretched and required to grow in so many different aspects, I need someone who's going to help me do the stretching. And so
Yes.
I feel like with what you were describing and what I
Yeah.
was hearing from you, you just need somebody that's going to pull a little and
Yeah.
help you to
Yeah.
stretch. So that's
Yeah.
okay. Like,
Yeah.
listen, seasons change.
Yep.
People need new things, especially in transition, which clearly we both are. You
Mm,
already know what's going on with me,
mm.
girl.
Ciao. Ciao.
Listen,
Ciao.
what I'm gonna
Please,
say
yes,
is
please, please, please. How have you been? How's baby been? What are the things?
the baby is so good. He is about 6 pounds 4 ounces,
Ooh.
growing each and every day. By this time, because that was at the beginning of the week. Like by this time, he's probably bigger than that, but he feels like he is moving around and getting very active in there and
Mm-hmm.
running out of room.
Mm.
So I am feeling all the things.
Are you
Um,
ready to evict him? You're like, here's your
you know,
papers.
listen, I'm not quite knocking on the door with the eviction notice,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm enjoying my pregnancy still.
Mm.
But I'm also saying, when the timing is right, when God's divine timing is right, then go ahead and bring it on.
Yup.
I
Yup.
will be ready. I will be ready. And it's interesting because this morning I was listening to some praise and worship music, and I've been doing that a lot, especially
Mm.
like in these last, few weeks as I build
Yeah.
up to getting to the grand arrival. And I was listening to Marvin Sapp's Undefeated. Have you heard that?
Oh, wait. Okay. Sing a piece of it.
Well, I was going to give you a quote of it. I ain't going to
Oh, go
sing it,
ahead.
girl, because I cannot sing no Marvin Sapp. I mean, I think I can in the shower, but I heard this one particular part of the song and I was like, this is the definition of my life right now. I was like,
Mm.
this is exactly it. And it's the shortest phrase. He says, I lost my job, but I did not lose my joy. And I was like, well said. And thank you for that package, Jesus. Like it's right here on my doorstep.
Wow.
But
Wow.
letting our audience read between the lines there. That
Mm-hmm.
is the story of my life right now. I feel like I am basking in joy, regardless of the challenges that I may have faced, regardless
Yeah.
of, all of the things that may be dropping down on me right now in this
Mm-hmm.
moment. I didn't lose my joy. And that's where I'm
Yeah.
at.
God is so good because that was so specific to what you
Mhm.
needed to hear at that moment. And there's
Mhm.
so many songs you could have played. And it's just like our ears are attuned to exactly what we need. He's like, okay, here you go.
Yep.
Like, think life is
Like,
lifing. Those are the
nice little bow on
things.
it. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. But like,
Yeah.
I have more in store for you, and the joy is still there because you
The joy
know
is
who
still
you
there.
are, whose you are. You're
Yes,
grounded.
ma'am. I am. And the joy is still there and the fire is still there. And
Yee,
speaking
come
of
through fire.
fire, I got some rapid fire for you,
Let
Alicia.
go. Let's go.
You want to go first? Do you want to go first?
Yeah, hit me with it.
All right, here we go, girl. We're straight into it. Relationship,
Uh, my current situation.
faith,
Love.
mm. ATL, shoddy.
Hey, getting thick, getting thick, getting thick.
I
Story
love
of my
that for
life
you.
right now.
Yes. New York.
Home.
Hmm. Oh, we're going to talk about that. Okay. Transition,
Uh, lack of stability.
partnership,
Security.
yoga,
Breath.
meditation,
Meetings with God.
mm. Duality.
Embracing it.
I like the first part, which is the sound effects. Honestly, so good. Food.
uh Meals that I should cook more often. I just don't. I'm not a cooker, y'all.
Neither am I. Presence.
um Aware.
Truth.
Love.
Structure.
Fluctuating.
Music.
Comforting.
TV.
Love is blind.
Woo, girl.
We gonna get
Save
there.
that. We gonna get there. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I was just watching this morning. Oh my gosh. Okay. Program.
um Things that I enjoy creating.
Mm. Healing.
Freedom.
Love that. Love,
Yeah.
love, love,
Yeah.
love.
Oh, that
We're
was a
gonna
good
touch.
list.
We're gonna touch on quite a few things. But as you said, New York, and you said
Mm-hmm.
home, I was reminded that I went on a retreat with some of my friends. I posted the recap on my social media, and I went to see The Wiz, like the musical production of The Wiz.
Yeah.
And honestly, as soon as you said that, all I could think of was think of home. And I was like, oh, yes. Like where I am right now in life feels like home to me. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily related to a place. It's
Yeah.
more so the things that I've surrounded myself with, the people, the environment and the energy feels
Yeah.
like home, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. One of the okay, so when we were taping, and I wasn't planning on sharing this necessarily, but when we were taping the home episode last season with Rebecca, and it was all about like how we create home, like talking about like our external homes, not necessarily the internal homes. And home is so big for me because not like we moved a lot growing up, but the HS penis is that's where I found like safety and sanctuary. It was like the world, yes, and then home. I'm like, comfort. So
Yeah.
when I got on my own, like even if it was just a room and with 10 roommates, I had 5, not 10. I would still try to like, but you know that New York living in college is like it's crazy. It's like 4-bedroom apartment, 5 roommates, you make it work.
Yeah.
So I would still try to create my own nook in my space. And so my previous home in New York was the epitome of like what my single girl home vibes were. It was like a place of creativity, a place where I was like, I'm gonna like get love here. And during that episode was when I had kind of like made the decision to like really transition. And we were just
Mm.
talking so much about home. And I didn't plan on it. I didn't know it kind of God kind of dropped that in my spirit pretty suddenly and was like, this is what I'm gonna need you to do. And I was like, that's crazy, God. So you just want me to like obey? That's wild. Like this quickly. And so I just think when we think about home and how we put so much stability into like a physical place. And so I love how you said it's just kind of where you're at right now. And
Yeah.
so maybe home is like you wherever you and Jimmy are, right? Or maybe home's just wherever you feel like that peace and that solace is at.
Yeah.
And so for me, I had to, and in this transition is detaching what my ideas and thoughts of home are. And so not the tangible things where it's like, I love my plants. I'm such a plant mom. And I love like my pictures and I love, how I have everything set up. And it's like, I've none of that around me now, but I feel so much at peace. Like it's a different
Yeah.
like place of home. So
I mean,
yeah, I think
you got your plants. They're in the
I
background.
do. I do. I had to add a little bit of something, a little bit of
Yeah,
something.
yeah. It's still there. It's still
Yeah.
surrounding you. And, even as you said that, what came to mind for me is that, I'm a Pisces, I'm a water baby. So
Mhm.
oftentimes whenever I'm near water, I feel at home. And it's really
Ooh.
interesting to me because I didn't even notice that I was so close to water being here in my apartment until the other day where I was on a walk and I was like, I wonder why this place, like, even though it's a new apartment complex, like, why this feels like I feel very settled here. I feel very calm. And then I was putting it all together. I was like, duh, Deja, you grew up by the water in Virginia Beach.
Mhm.
You are a water baby. So
Yeah.
whenever you feel close to water, you start to feel at home. And, the other interesting thing is that as I was thinking about this episode and entering into season 3 with you, and
Mhm.
we were talking about healing, I realized that a huge part of my healing comes with water being like close to me,
Ooh.
on me, like, running through me because, the majority of our bodies are made of
Yeah.
water. Right now, I'm like filled up with all this fluid and all this water. And everything is just like all pieced together. It's all making sense. It's all
Yeah.
flowing together. And so the quote that I wanted to kick off this conversation with is by Elle. It's from the book How We Heal.
Mm.
I don't know if you got a chance to read it, but I got a chance to read it and it is brilliant. And it reminded me of you too when I was reading it because it has a ton of journal prompts in it and you are
Love.
the journal prompt queen. So the quote says, healing comes in waves, and I'm allowed to feel every rise and every fall of my tide. And I was like,
Mm.
that is so beautiful to give yourself
Mm.
permission to feel the waves of life.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a perfect segue into like our conversation about healing because right
Yeah.
now, both you and I are riding some pretty strong waves out there, girl. Pretty strong waves.
Oof. Oof. That just like even okay, so there was so much of what you said when you brought up the idea of water and like how water is healing and so many different like spiritual paths that people like have and that they believe. Water is a way where you and like I'll say baptisms for one, but you go down as you are and then you're like emerging as new, right? Like you're shedding, you're releasing, like you're being healed, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess until you were saying like that and how much water's been a part of your healing journey, I was like, oh yeah, that definitely makes so much sense. And I've never lived in a place where I've been landlocked. I've
Mm.
always had like quick access to water, and even just visually seeing water brings like a soothing calmness. And I'm not a Pisces, I'm a Capricorn, so we're like grounded as food, like mad earthy. But the water, it's something about how tranquil it is and just like touching it and being in it. And so I've been doing a lot of swimming here because it's like
Ooh.
still 86 degrees in October. Shout outs to me. That's one thing I do enjoy about being here.
Yeah.
But and I think I'm just putting the pieces together now because I'm like, wow, there's no bodies of water and no one's going to Lake. Was it Lanier around here? That devil
Oh,
made lake
yeah.
that people
Yeah.
always
That
die in. Like, no.
devil
No.
made
I was like, no.
lake. No, but there are so many tragic stories tied to that lake and yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go watch
It's
Atlanta. I don't know what episode or what season, but they do a whole episode
yeah.
about Lake Lanier, and it's really,
Yeah.
really good. It's really, really good
Yeah.
because it's a tragic history of the waters as well.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then so water is definitely so healing. It's definitely been I like how you said it's been a part of your journey. It's been a part of my journey as well. So I'm like, maybe that's why I've been in the water so much lately. Like
Yeah.
I'm like 4 times a week I'm swimming now, y'all, which
Oh
is
my
like
gosh.
very new for me. But yeah, as we are navigating these tides, I think what would you say for you has been a major lesson that you've had to learn as of lately?
Mm. Oh, that's good. I think I am learning the lesson of acceptance and letting go. I am learning that, nothing is permanent, everything is temporary. Everything is temporary. Um, I am learning to accept right where I am in this very moment and also let go of the things that I can't control and change. And
Yeah.
I think it's going to be an ongoing lesson for quite some time. I mean, it's something that
Mm.
I've been embracing. It's something that's a huge part of my personal healing journey. Um, but I know that I'm a person that likes to hold really tight to things. I cling super tight to
Yeah.
things. And
Yeah.
so for me, in order for me to feel a sense of balance, I really truly have to allow myself to let go, to relinquish control, to allow things to come in like the waves and flow out
Mhm.
like the water. And I honestly feel so much more at peace on a daily basis because I am embracing this lesson. So that is the biggest lesson I would say right now.
Ooh.
As I speak of balance, though, like where would you say in your life do you feel like off balance right now? Or like
Can
where
we
things don't
is this
feel.
multiple choice? Can I select more than one?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Just like a one, you going to like one, or can I select multiple? Um, so there's this. I was actually doing this with a friend who is going through a major breakup, and so it was like, you're like, we rally and we're like, I got you. Let's sit here. We do the homegirl thing, and then let's do some like healing work together. And there's this 8 dimensions of wellness. And so I facilitate this at like different companies and things like that anyway. But as a healer, you do it for others and you don't do it for yourself.
Yes.
And so
Yes,
when I was
yes.
doing this with her, it was just me and her. It's like, I'm gonna like go through these exercises like with you. And so you look at all 8 dimensions, and I like that because it gives you the opportunity to notice and to really assess like, what is my current practice or habit, and do I want to make a change, do I want to shift it, or am I, maybe I'm happy with like what it is, but it doesn't go unnoticed.
Mm,
And so financially was one of those areas I was like, oh, we're off balance right now, right?
mm.
And so, and you can look at it in different ways. It could be like savings, it could be like wanting to pay off debt, or just like maybe like increase your income, whatever that may look like. But I was like, oh, that's one. And that's newer for me. I would say like 3 years ago, like I'm like, oh, that area is figured out. Like, let me focus
Yeah.
on relationship. And now I'm like, relationship is going swimmingly
Balance.
well. And over
Balance.
here, yeah. So I think the financial one was definitely, and just being more intimate with my finances.
Yeah.
I think there's this thing of like, okay, these are the things I need, and you whatever, I'll do that, and then I'll have this left. But like, I made a whole spreadsheet, and like, I'm like, okay, the more intimate you get with these things, though, the more you can like steward after. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
it's the idea of like, if you want an increase, like you have to show that you're good and working through what you have. You're telling God like, okay, I can do this. I'm someone you can trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's been a one. And then another area of us balance, of not feeling balanced, was it it really goes back to having those tough conversations. Like I there's certain areas where I'm great with it, and then in that like really interpersonal, I'm just like my therapist. I was like, oh, but I like her, and it was like, no, write the letter, and you do it with love, and write the things, and then send it, and then have the conversation, because like
Yeah.
you're better with words written, and then have the conversation. So
Yeah.
those are my areas.
Okay. And to be honest with you, like, I think it's beautiful to have those areas of imbalance because it
Yeah,
always gives you something to grow towards. It always gives you something to reach for.
yeah,
And, as you were saying, like things like, I want to make sure that God knows, like, I'm good with this, like, I can take care of this. I remember, like, when I was younger, hearing in church about stewardship, and
yeah,
I didn't really know what it was. I was way too young to know that big of a word.
yeah.
But I remember the preacher saying, like, you have to take care of the things that you have before God can give you more.
Preach.
And I was in church. I think I was like not even a teenager yet. I was like a preteen. I was in church
Mm-hmm.
like, amen. Because I was thinking, at the time, I remember wanting my parents to like either redo my room or something like that. And I remember thinking, my room is always a mess. So, like, if
Yep.
I'm not taking care of the room that I already have, how can I expect
Mm.
more?
Mm-hmm.
And such a basic idea as, like, a little one. Now being older, I'm very conscious of being a good steward over the things that I do have in my life.
Yeah.
And not just, my roof over my head or the clothes on my back or like, the tangible things that we have
Yeah.
in life, but like taking care of the relationships,
Yep.
taking care of, my energy, my spirit, like all of those things for me are important in my future growth, because if I don't take care of the things that I already have, how can I expect more?
Yo, it is so. Yes. It feels like such a simple concept, but like it's one of those things that have really carried me through like young adulthood to adulthood. I don't know if I've heard it in church when I was younger. I probably just wasn't paying attention, but it started to ring true as I got older and it applied. I was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
why. And so I remember one of my first apartments like in New York, and it was a box like it wasn't even it was a junior one bedroom. So when they say junior, it's a box, y'all. And I remember just being like, I want a new apartment so bad, like I just like, come on. And similar, I heard that sermon about the stewardship, and the pastor was like, "You can't even take care of the little hoopty that you got now, but you want a better car. Like, get your car cleaned, vacuum it, take the
Yeah.
fast food out of the passenger side, right?" And I didn't have a car, but I was like, "He is right." Like, I'm so much I'm so much looking at what isn't as opposed to what I do have, and just kind of like perfecting that to the best of my ability. And
Yeah.
then when I do have something better, it's like, oh, my baseline is like already here. Like I know how
Yeah.
to like manage this well. And so I love that. I love that idea. And it's been one of those things where you know things, but then you don't like embody it. It's like that, like bringing those old
Yeah.
principles back. Like, how can I really like embody this?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
Yeah.
declare this now, y'all. When we out here, and I'm like, the finances have just rained down on me. Mainly because student loans. I think that's the other thing. I was like, let me
Oh my
really.
goodness.
It's coming back, so let me just. I
Yes.
don't want those because they're straggler things. I think that was. It's not like I'm not great with my finances. That's not it at all. But it's like the straggler things. I haven't worried about it in 3 years,
Yeah.
and y'all was so wishy washy. Now I gotta pay them again.
Listen, girl, they came back and I said to my husband, I was like, we will pay all of these off before I have this baby. So we gonna figure it out. And I'm literally like, I think I have like
Woo! That's
two more
good.
payments that I need to make, and they're
How are you
gone.
celebrating? How are you celebrating? Because that is a
I
milestone.
mean, girl, I'm gonna have a baby. That's gonna be my celebration. I'm gonna be like, listen, now I can have this baby and like not have that on my head. So that's my celebration. That's my rejoicing, is all in this baby. But no, but really, honestly, like that is a huge accomplishment. And I think oftentimes,
Yes.
as we think through our healing journey and through this journey of growth, we don't necessarily acknowledge that each of those things is an accomplishment. And I've got another quote for that. I be coming
Come
with the quotes.
through.
But I found this quote by Morgan Harper Nichols. I'm a huge fan of
Mm-hmm.
hers, as you know. And she said, every step we take to heal from the damage that was done to us is an accomplishment. And I was like, ooh, that hits hard.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so true. Like every step
Mm-hmm.
that we take, whether it's grabbing a resource like a therapist or a life
Yeah.
coach or a friend to lean on and talk
Mm-hmm.
to and vent to and, bounce ideas off of, or it's that one thing that you're like, okay, I'm going to start doing this differently
Yeah.
because, what I learned from this past experience and this past, relationship or whatever the case may be has taught me that I need to grow in this area. So I'm going to take
Mm-hmm.
another step forward, even if it's a baby step,
Yeah.
and I'm going to create change in my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that. And I love that, in this season, we will talk to a variety of professionals and
Yeah.
just beautiful individuals. And we'll invite some people that are near and dear to our hearts into the space to allow us to step in on their healing journeys, because everybody's
Mm-hmm.
is different. And to be honest with you, all of us could use a little healing.
Everybody. And one of the things when I was just kind of like sitting and journaling was this idea that we know that like healing is not like a destination. Like I'm healed, right? We're not like healed. But it's more so like the result of like the work that's done, like the
Yeah.
steps that you're taking. And so that's what
Yeah.
when you're talking about these like steps, it's like, yeah, and it's done in the small things. Like sometimes it's not those big, large, grandiose, like I went to a shaman, which is like, it's cool if that's what you want to do, but it
Yeah.
really could just be in like you honoring your no,
Yes.
or you taking that time to actually meditate or to journal or to go swimming or color.
Yeah.
Those are all those baby steps that pour into like your healing cup. And I was thinking too, like, what do we, when I think about healing, like why do I want to heal? Like we're all
Mm.
it's like this elusive like healing, but why? Right. And
Yeah.
so for me, it came down to freedom. It's like
Ooh.
I'm seeking to be like unshackled to like what if it's generational things, if it's things that I've put myself in bondage with, but it's that releasing and having
Yeah.
that complete freedom. And so it's like healing is the result of the things I'm doing, but freedom is like the goal. Like I feel for
Yeah.
me, I'll say that is like why you do the uncomfortable things and you do
Yeah.
the nasty, the messiness. We get messy and you have to like throw it out all on the table. So then you can break down what needs to be broken down,
Yeah.
put back what needs to be put back, and throw the rest to the side
Yeah.
as we're like going and growing and molding and changing. And the messiness has been something because I'm similar, Deja. I was like, messiness. I had a coach tell me that like years ago, a coach was like, "You don't like to get messy," and I was like, I get my hands dirty. What you mean?" And she's like, "No, like you have like a plan and you have things in structure and together,
Mm.
and like that's cool and all, but like in the mess is where you're able to really like." Be healed because you're
Mhm.
bearing those scars, you're sharing, you're allowing like your story or the telling of the story to like help you heal as opposed to like being like no this is the story I'm choosing to tell. It's like no, like be real with what actually happened.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I love that. I completely second everything that you said,
Yeah.
from the messiness to also, touching on this idea of like freedom being a result of going through the healing.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to that, I want to say that my why comes from I heal for the love of myself. I heal so
Mm,
that I can fall deeper in love with me and I can
mm,
be happy and truly joyful in the place that I am, no matter what that may be. And
yeah.
so as I heal more, I begin to love myself more. As I love myself more, I begin to attract more of
Mm-hmm.
that like energy, more of that love.
Mm-hmm.
And so it put me in an interesting place to start to think about my why. I thank you so much for saying that because I'm like, honestly, healing is hard. And ain't nobody trying
Bruh.
to be out here just putting themselves through the
No,
ringer, like
no.
nobody. But when you think about the, beautiful results that come from actually doing the work of healing, you
Mm-hmm.
embrace it a little bit more. You're a lot more likely to dive into the process.
Yeah.
And so, as I named that thing love, I feel like that's the perfect segue into our dose, which I could not wait to sit here and talk to you about this new season of Love is Blind. Girl.
We had to pause ourselves. We were talking yesterday. It was like, no, let's not even do this now. Let's
Right.
just wait till we get real honest feedback. And I watched your pick to Marriage
Oh,
Pact.
yes. 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 Yes.
Me and Bernard had a whole we don't even disagree that often. We had a whole disagreement over Marriage
No
Pact.
way.
Oh
Really?
yeah. And at first we start watching because I was like, they just said it's kind of like blah in the beginning. And so
Yeah.
he's like, oh, whatever. We're watching it. And then he got so passionate that he's like, Paul, no, we need to talk about this. You think this? And I was like, whoa.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're gonna get to the marriage pact,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
let's
yeah.
start off. Let's kick it off with Love is Blind.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like, speaking of messiness, I don't like to be messy in the sense that I like to critique others and what their journeys are. But I have to point out this one particular individual that is on
Mm.
this show that is just irking every nerve in my body
Yep.
because they are a master manipulator. Like,
Yep.
I know you know exactly who I'm talking
Yep.
about.
Yep.
Let's just put his name out there.
Uche. Uche. I am so like he every nerve he makes my blood boil because he does it in such this like it's a condescending way and how he
Yes.
entered. Okay, so if you don't know, y'all just go watch it now. There's about to be some
Yeah.
spoilers in this. Spoiler alert. Spoiler
Spoiler
alert.
alert.
Spoiler alert. I'm just gonna drop that now. We are not gonna hold back. So
Nope.
like when he first entered the picture, and I'm being real, y'all, I've dated someone like him. And so
Ooh, okay.
so initially I was just kind of like, and I was like, ugh, I know his type. I couldn't have imagined that it would really I thought it was just me being, a little triggered by things. I couldn't have imagined that it would unfold like this. I was like, oh, he
Mhm.
really did. Yeah, makes
Uh-huh.
sense.
Uh-huh.
But the way he treated Aaliyah when she was being transparent and open with him, which is what you want in a relationship, like that's my past. I can't change what happened, but I'm sharing with you. So at least we're on this like level playing field with trust. And
Yeah.
he was wagging his finger. She cheated. He
Yes.
said, you're a recent cheat. 2 years
And
ago, mind your business. Like, get out my
first of
face.
all, I haven't ever cheated in a relationship, but I felt judged for her. I was
Yeah.
like, excuse me, sir. Like, he without sin cast the first stone, but I know
Oh,
you're over there with the whole story, okay,
get
sir?
that plank out your eye,
So,
sir.
like,
Oh.
I was sitting in that like moment and watching that scene and getting so uncomfortable for her and watching
Mm-hmm.
her be so vulnerable was so beautiful. Shout out to Aaliyah. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's my girl. I don't know her, but
I liked
that's my
her. I
girl.
always liked her.
Me too. Me too from day one. And she was so genuine in being open with him and she didn't have to share that with him. She didn't have to share that on freaking national TV.
National. Because the person that she cheated on didn't even know. And so I was like, you were really out here rolling
You
the
really
dice, but you
girl.
liked him. So you wanted to be like, if we're going to get, because marriage is a serious commitment. Like, and
Yep.
her doing that is showing her commitment to it. And
Yep.
he's spat on that. I don't like him, y'all. I don't dislike many people. Okay, let me
But
not say I don't like him. His actions were very,
yeah, there we go. We'll talk about
yeah,
the
his
actions. We'll talk about
actions.
the actions and how they made us feel. Here's the other part where I felt like he was a master manipulator was he did that whole thing to Aaliyah. He played with her mind. He then came back and had a sit down with her after they had already left the pods face to face, then made her feel even worse
Yep.
about why she decided that she needed to take a beat, not
Yep.
fully walk away because she still came to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then when he didn't feel satisfied enough from making her feel
Yeah.
terrible about herself, he
Yeah.
then went to try to interfere with his ex's relationship. And I was like, "Oh, now, sir, you wearing a whole different coat." Like,
Very, very. So I think Lydia, his ex, said, she was like, you're
yeah.
absolutely a narcissist. And we do
Yes.
throw that word around a little casually now. And I was like, maybe he's not a narcissist. He's a little self-centered and selfish. No, 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 no. When he came back and was trying to be that hands-on and involved with her relationship, you're a narcissist. You're absolutely a narcissist. And right now you're trying to wreak havoc on her because you're so upset at what happened. And I almost feel like he thought that he would have this beautiful sob story. And that's how he was
Mhm.
trying to paint it. Like,
Yes.
oh, this
Woe
isn't going
is
to
me.
work, Aaliyah. Yeah, yeah. He thought it was. And it was like, you're making yourself look horrible out
Horrible.
here.
When he
Horrible.
plays back the tape, like, sir, when you
Sir.
see yourself in the mirror, and here's the thing about a narcissist, they oftentimes look in the mirror and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is fine. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
what's
yeah.
wrong with it?"
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? You know what I really loved though in that particular scene where he came back and tried to interfere with like
He's talking to
Lydia and
Milton, right?
Milton.
Oh, he was talking to her. Yeah.
Milton is my guy. I love Millie. We
I really
stand Millie,
do.
okay?
We really do.
Like his cutie little 24-year-old self. I know he's under like even more than a decade younger than me. But I'm like, sir, you are so mature, and your perspective on life, the way that he described it, it was so
Yep.
scientific and
Always.
just he just was so poised. And he was like, you're not about to sit here and tell me about my girl.
No,
You know?
no,
And I loved that he kept
no.
repeating that quote that his mom would say, like, "Your perception is your reality." And
Yep.
I was like, "You're absolutely right." And his perception is twisted and sick. So leave that
Yeah.
perception over there. And
Over
Milton,
there.
you
Yep.
sit in your bag, you appreciate your lady, and you do your thing. Like,
I
I
didn't. Oh, I shout out. He gets envy. He should get a trophy. He honestly
yeah.
should get a trophy because I think people were discounting him when we first saw him. It was like,
Mhm.
he's kind of quiet. He's a little passive. Okay, if I'm being very real, I didn't think Lydia was being genuine with him. At first, I was like, is she
Mm.
this desperate to be in relation? Because she was so caught up on
Mm.
Izzy that it felt like, okay, let me just like look around and see what's left. Who was into me? Like sometimes it's nice to be liked. So it's
Yeah.
like, let me see who likes me and if I can give this a go. And the way she was not convincing him to propose, but she was really professing her love and being like, I'm 10 toes down. I feel like this is going to work. I was like, this girl just want to be on the show. But seeing how they evolved, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this makes so much sense.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
so playful together, but he's
Yeah.
also mature. And like him showing up for her, even when he came into the room, when he was talking to her, it's like, okay, what's going on? You want to talk to my
Mhm.
woman? Like, you can
Yep.
talk to both of us. Okay, you
Yep.
got this? Okay, I'll be right out here. I have so much respect for him.
Me too. Me too. Listen, we love Millie. I love that show. There's so much to unpack, and I'm sure we're going to continue to unpack
Yeah.
as the days come, the episodes flow through. But let's touch on Marriage Pact, because that was a show that my friend Shan Boodram hosted. Shout out to Shan. She has an incredible podcast called Lovers and Friends. And she hosts this show that I told you was on the Roku channel,
Mm-hmm.
basically about these people creating a marriage pact to get married if none of their other circumstances work out and they like get to a certain age or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. Now, what did you think of the show when you watched it? I want to know your initial like
Yeah.
thoughts.
Okay. First thought was this feels so gimmicky. It feels like a bootleg Love is Blind. Like even the music, I was like, what is this music that's playing? What is this? Is this from like just the free like royalty free music? So I didn't think I was actually going to enjoy it. But I was like, okay, like watch the first episode. And as it like went on, okay, I don't know names. I haven't gotten there, but the girl, the white woman from Miami with the like the ponytail, she's like
Oh,
really
yes.
tall.
Oh my
She's
gosh, what
dating
is
a
her
guy from New
name?
York. She's real feisty,
Yes,
real
I know who you're
fiery.
talking about. Yes.
Okay, so when she went up to the other woman, the younger girl with the brown
Yes.
hair,
Mhm.
that's when it started to get real spicy. That's
Yeah.
when me and my partner had our little like what is happening here. And so what it all kind of came down to when I was thinking about this, like why did all these the concept of having a marriage pet is like nothing worked. Let me look around and see what corners I ain't sweep yet of who might potentially still want to be with me. And
Yeah.
because the way they're interacting feels weird. Like people are like, this is my best friend. And then the girl's like, I didn't know he acted like this in public settings with other people. You don't know that he likes to be the life of the party. How is that your best friend?
How?
What
How?
is I'm
How?
confused.
It's also like, what are you looking at? You know what I mean? Like, what are the things that you're choosing to pay attention to?
Yeah.
And I think that we as human, this is just my opinion, we
Yeah.
pay attention to different things when they're going to be a friend versus when they're going to be a romantic partner.
For
And
sure.
so I think that I mean, a lot of healing needs to take place.
A
That's where
lot
I
of
was
healing.
at with both these
Yeah.
shows.
Yeah.
But when I looked at it, I was like, oh, now you're looking at this person in a different light. And so things have switched up a little. It's not maybe that you didn't know this person, it's that you weren't getting to know them in this intimate
Mm,
way, you know?
yeah, so your antennas weren't up. I also, and I'm not married, so leaning on you for some of this, Deja. I think people's idea of marriage and what it actually entails, there's a large gap there. Because when Logan asked, I don't remember her name with the brown hair, when he asked her, like, what do you think marriage is? And she's like, it's just, you and your best friend, like, loving to spend time together. And I'm like, I've been in long-term partnerships, and I'm like, that is not a relationship. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I want us to have that aspect of it. But if that's all you're gonna like lean on, like, girl. And then there was, when he brought up the intimacy piece, she didn't have the language to even like articulate how she was feeling. And it's like, we get it. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of frustration. You feel like maybe he's pushing you, but have that conversation. Don't walk away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you think a marriage is that, then like, you don't even need to be here trying to figure out how to get married. You need to like prepare yourself for marriage.
Yeah.
Like, are you a person that is able to be in a marriage before you're looking for the partner? That's what it also made me think of. Like, everybody got some healing to do.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm over here too on my own healing journey. Like, you need this, Pointing to a therapist. Here's your prescription.
But it's a beautiful like mirror that's placed before you when you sit and watch these shows. You know, you see yourself in certain characters. You see some of your partners or your friends in certain characters, and that's part of all of our healing journey too. So like as I watch this, this. I used to call it trash TV. I'm not going to call it trash TV. I'm going to call it reality TV, which is what its name is. But as I watch these kinds of TV shows, I am taught so many lessons just about self and about the people that I surround myself with or the people that I used to surround myself with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think all of that is a part of our healing journey too. And,
for sure.
As we step out of this amazing conversation that I don't want to end, I, of course, have another quote for the people. Now, I love this quote because I think it sums up so much of what we touched on, but it also includes one of our favorite guests that closed last season for us, Michell C. Clark. So he said, your healing and healing is hard. Sometimes it feels like you'd be better off pretending everything is okay instead of facing your demons. And I love that. I love that quote so much. I think, it shows up in those shows that we were discussing. It shows up in each of our individual lives where like sometimes we don't necessarily do the healing. We'd rather just place a blanket over it and look the other way. But that stuff will always revisit you. And so healing is beyond necessary. And as we travel through this new season of Dose of Duality, we look forward to taking you on a plethora of journeys of healing with us.
I would love to. So my takeaway, especially as we're doing all the relationship talk, relationships are not the antidote to like whatever you need to heal. And just like, no, I think sometimes you want to like find shelter in whatever they are, romantic, friends, but it's like, no, you still get to do the work. Like you still got to sweep your own corners. Like you can't find shelter there. But I want to hear, what are you grateful for?
Oh, I love that. Oh, this is going to tie a nice pretty bow on it. Okay. I am grateful for this space that I get to share with you.
Mm-hmm.
I am grateful for my sweet baby boy that is coming into this world. I am grateful for the love that surrounds me. I am grateful for healing.
And I love
what are you? Yes, of course, full circle. What are you grateful for, Alicia?
I am grateful for the season that I've been squeezed in. It's been so very uncomfortable. But what, like the fruit that I'm seeing, like what it's producing in me, like I'm starting to have a clearer idea of like how it's, like what it's tied to, or like what I'm seeing. So the level of patience that I have, like my level of empathy has increased, my level of just like understanding situations that I haven't experienced, but I'm like, oh, okay, like I can really like be present for that. So I'm actually grateful. I'm glad that I can get to that point. I'm grateful for some of them struggles. I like what it's doing in me. And I am very grateful for this weather. Y'all, I love New York, but I'm actually glad that I'm not there.
Because the weather over here is so confused.
It's doing too much. It's a whole tsunami one day, and then it's doing this the other day. No, it's steady. It's a steady 86. It's consistent. It's consistent. I like a little consistency in my life as the chaos goes. Um,
Same.
and then I'm very grateful. I just joined a new church out here, y'all. Change Church, Darius Daniels. Go look him up. He's amazing.
Yes.
But I'm grateful for this new like spiritual community that I'm developing here, and how it's just helping me feel really grounded and rooted and finding home where I'm at right now.
Yes, that's so beautiful. And of course, we have to ask our community before we leave, what are
Mhm.
you grateful for? Take some time, think about it,
Yeah.
drop it in the comments, send us a DM, you know, like, share,
Yeah.
comment, what are all the things? Subscribe if you really
All of
liked
it. All of
listening to
it.
this episode. All of it, all of it, all of it, all of it. And with the nice, tight, pretty bow that we love to tie on it, I am Deja Riley.
And I am Alicia Ferguson. And
And
this has been your weekly dose of
of
duality.
we did it.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. If you have enjoyed this episode of Dose of Duality, please do us a favor. Like, share with the homie, and subscribe. We love hearing your feedback, and trust us, we respond to like everything. Sure do. And don't forget to rate and review this podcast. Come back again next week for another Dose of Duality.